Ages 11 to 18. In the United States, I went to a Catholic school called Sacred Heart Elementary School, as I did in London. The Catholic school in London was called St. Agnes School. My friends were made up of all age groups, from pre-kindergarten to 8th grade. We went regularly to Sacred Heart Catholic Church, and it was less than 2 blocks away. My brother Bonya oftentimes served as an altar boy to the priest. Although my mother had several jobs, on her day off, every other Sunday, she took the time to take us to church. I started reading my mother's Bible and knew several Bible verses by memory. The few times when I spoke about particular things in the Bible, I saw changes in my siblings. Arguments dissipated and bad habits brought about shame. In my teenage years, I learned that reading the Bible meant exercising authority and power over certain situations like depression, sickness, and expressing forgiveness. I lived in Washington, D.C., Newton Street. My grade school was in the area and also was Giant Supermarket. At the Giant, I bought a book about angels. This book was about healing angels, angels that prevented people from experiencing catastrophes, such as car accidents and the like. I read lots of testimonies from people who had a lot of things to say about God's holy angels. You know, the ones that serve Him day and night, worship Him, and enjoy doing His will. Well, on one occasion, I was crossing my street and I saw a car coming. I waited for it to move, but it was moving in slow motion as if the driver saw me at the angle of his eye. I seized the moment and crossed the street. As I crossed the street, I smelled a beautiful fragrance that knocked me off my feet. I recalled reading from my book of angels about angels on a healing mission and how the person who gave that testimony said it's like fresh pine trees. This sweet smell was not your ordinary pine tree smell or any perfume I had smelled before. It was such a beautiful fragrance, one I had never smelled before in the world and had never encountered before. I went to the bathroom to have quiet time with God. As I looked up to the ceiling, I told Him, God, I believe You exist, and I believe Your angels exist, but I don't know if Jesus exists. Suddenly, I felt an immense feeling of love that engulfed my entire being. I looked out of my bedroom window and realized I hadn't lived yet to that moment. I had realized Jesus Christ was in fact a real person, a factual person who lived, breathed, and walked on the earth. He was an actual person who died. Because the power of God was so intense, death could not hold Jesus, the Christ, down in the grave. Many others followed Him and believed in His testimony. I heard it say the prophet spoke about Him and waited on His arrival. My heartfelt experience was intangible. It was something that was invisible to the human eye. It was something I felt, a special conviction that Jesus Christ is real, and it took reading the Bible, reading about angels, reading about the many testimonies of people who had heavenly visitations from God's angels, and the experience I encountered, which I now know to be from the Holy Spirit, who was in His way, informing me that Jesus Christ is real, to be the turning point of my life at age 14. The testimony of God's Spirit allowed me to accept Jesus Christ as somebody, to be a real person. Years later, as an adult, I had dreams with Jesus and visitations from Him and signs that He is in my life and He is a vibrant presence in the lives of those who choose Him as a person to believe in, as a person to pray to, as a person to trust and confide in. Many can testify about Jesus because He lets Himself to be known to those who seek Him. He's real to many who have witnessed and seen Him and touched Him and saw Him face to face. The summer of 1994 was a special time for me because I proved to my mom I could excel well in my academics to avoid summer school, repetition of math and English classes. The reward for getting high grades was going to a sponsored program held by the city. I made friends easily because they saw me as quiet, shy, and easy to get along with. Most of us were from Catholic schools, while the rest were from public schools. We got along well, and our days were filled with taking art classes, language classes, and many field trips. During the summer, I offended a classmate and felt guilty, and asked God all summer long to be forgiven, to be given the chance to apologize to Him. When I left the higher achievement program and proceeded to go to St. John's College High School, I didn't realize that God had answered my prayer to make amends with my friend I had offended during that summer program. When I saw him again, I partially forgot why I was there to make amends. Freshman year at St. John's College High School was filled with miracles. It was the year God had blessed my parents to make a lot of money financially to support my private school education. My dad had received free fare, train fare from a passerby at a train station in Washington, D.C. My teachers were caring towards me, and one would oftentimes hug me in front of the class. When a friend of mine from eighth grade came to visit the school during the summer's open house, she saw me in the honor roll, which was God's doing because I never made honor roll all year long. I had angels all around me, and one time felt the presence of one who made his presence known. My being there at the school was strategically planned and permitted by God's will, because after ninth grade year, I went to a different high school.